Hey guys, it is Carl Brown for GuitarLessons365.com. Got a great one for you today. We're going to learn how to play Blackout by the Scorpions. So, a lot of things, just crazy stuff all over the place in this one. Tons of fills, a really killer solo by Matthias jabs. We got our work cut out for us here today. So we're going to go through the entire song, all the fills, all the riffs first, kind of in order, and then at the end we'll take a look at the solo. All right, before I get into it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course ring that notification bell so you know when I release a new video, and you know, hopefully you'll watch them. And please, very important, check out my Guitar Academy. You'll see a link in the description below. That link will give you a free 7-day trial, so you can just try it out. It contains all my guitar courses, containing everything from a complete beginner course to courses in more advanced courses in improvisation and ear training and technique, many different techniques from alternate picking to economy picking to sweep picking, legatos, everything. And also even a full course on how to create any guitar tone you want. So it's all there, so please go check it out. All right, so let's jump into this. We are in standard tuning here, and of course, you know, Schenker and Matthias, they really kind of mix up their parts pretty well. So we have kind of an underlying riff going on a lot underneath this. So that's Rudolf underneath it. So he's just kind of chugging on that E power chord. Kind of hitting it, and then the open E's in there. And then Matthias over it. All right, so that's kind of starting with a big bar dive on the low E string. And then he comes in with these double stops. So I will say that part, there's another part in there that you can hear him. You can hear the double stops there as well. I think that's just an overdub. But live, he just kind of sticks with this one. So we'll stick with that too. So that's just the 16th fret on the G and the 15th fret there on the B. So you play that together, and then that little melody. So that's just, that melody's on the 17th fret there on the B string. And back to 15. Back to 15. So he's just kind of rotating between those notes on the B string, and that's all it is. You just need to know the melody there. And then it ends with an open D string, and then you hear a kind of a G string there with a bar dive on it that takes you into the first verse of the song. All right, so we have two parts going on here for this verse. So Rudolph's part is like this. That goes to the pre-chorus there. So that's just kind of chugging on that E power chord again. Then take it up to this G power chord at the 10th fret. So when you do that, you won't be hitting that low E in there anymore. G power chord off the A string, 10th fret, and then down to the 3rd fret, the C power chord. And repeat that. All right, so this is verse number 1. It's going to be different. The rest of the verses of the song are a little bit different for Matthias's part. So we have basically now that's Rudolf's part. So Matthias is doing a little bit more intricate stuff, especially in the second verse. But this first one is like starts the same, but then he kind of branches off. So this. All right, so there's always a kind of fills all over the place. So we start with that same E power chord. So that little move right there, I'm hitting a muted open E string, and then we play 12, 14 on the D string. I'm sorry, the A string, I'm sorry. Then over to these double stops here, the 12th fret on the D and the G together. And then he holds that. So we have this. And then he has a tendency, pretty much when he's leaving this double stop, he hits a pinch harmonic on that 14th fret there on the G string. Then he's down to that same C power chord that Rudolph's playing at the end of the riff. Now we start over. Same thing, but now after you've repeated it twice, you have this little ending fills. So that's going to be kind of 5th fret on the B string, hammer on 6, pull back off to 5. So then play 7, 5 on the G. And then a quick bend and release on the 7. Pull off to 5. And 7, 5 on the D. That's the way it is. All right, so that takes us to the pre-chorus. The pre-chorus is the same for both guitarists play the same riff. So it looks like this. So that's just that power chord at the 5th fret of the A string, the D power chord. You'll hear him kind of do a little bit of vibrato bar every once in a while on it, and then kind of chugging on the C power chord at the 3rd fret off the A string. And then, now that little thing is just 3, 2, 0 on the A string. Again. All right, then we get to verse number 2. So Rudolph's part is the same. Matthias is quite a bit different. Looks like this. All right, so it's all over the place. So there's a fill at the end of each time he plays the riff now here, and obviously the riff itself is a little bit different. So instead of doing this, he's doing this. So that's kind of a couple of hits on the low E, and you're gonna pull off 7 to 5 on the A string. Then back to the low E string, and then play kind of a pinch harmonic at the 5th fret on the A. So this. All right, that's the beginning of it. And then you're gonna hit the low E again, pull off 7 to 5 on the A again, back to the low E, but now instead of ending it with the pinch harmonic at the 5th fret on the A, it's the 5th fret of the D. Let's wave this. Now here, he picks up where how he played verse 1. The open E again, 12, 14 on the A, to those double stops, and that pinch harmonic on the 14. Down to that power chord. So we have this. All right, so that's one time through the riff. So the end of that first time playing, we're in verse 2 here, right? So Matthias, at the end of playing the riff the first time, he has this, which is just kind of doing a trill between 9 and 12 on the G, and some little whammy bar stuff on it. So then back to the same riff. So that another little fill there with these harmonics across the 5th fret there. So it starts just the natural harmonics of the 5th fret off the D, G, B, and the high E there. All right, finally we have made it back to the pre-chorus. Both guitarists playing the exact same thing we did before. And then we get to the chorus, which looks like this. All right, so that's the power chord here at the the open E, 7th fret on the A, 9th fret on the D. So we have this, and then down to the 5th fret power chord. Slide that down. Now that little ending lick there. So that's 3, 2, 0 on the A. Over to 3 on the low E. Then the open A again, and then back 3, 2, 0 on the low E. And then after playing the riff 8 times, you're going to basically just do this. So basically the 8th time playing through the riff there, that you just do that 3, 2, 0 on the A, to the 3 on the low E. You do that 3 times in a row. Hold that and then slightly bend it up at the very end, kind of a long bend. Then it basically goes through the intro again. So the intro is the same, kind of the same rhythm and the same lead going on. Very end, that bar dive, that open G string bar dive that we did, it's the exact same string, but he does a 5th fret harmonic off of it. That's the only difference there between the intro to the song. So we go through back to that there, just that last little bar dive. It's a harmonic at the 5th fret of the G string. Then we're back to the verse section. Now this is the second version of playing the verse, which means you still got Rudolf doing all right, but you just got Matthias doing the more but we have different fills this time. So I'm going to play through now. This is the 3rd verse in the song. in Matthias's part, we got different fills to work with, so it looks like this. All right, so that same riff. Now this first fill, so we're going to start with they're kind of muted, just slightly palm muted down here. You're going to have the open G string, then hammer 5/7 on the G. Then same lick, open B string, but now hammer 5/8. Now I'll go back down to the G string, the same lick, open G, hammer 5/7. And then down to the D string, open D, hammer 5/7. So it's pretty cool when you get it up to speed. Then we start the riff. So that last fill there, this is an oblique bend here. We'll talk about more about these in the solo, but it was the 15th fret there on the B, 7 and 14 on the G. So you play those two and bend up that note on the G string up a whole step while leaving the 15 stationary on the B. And that takes us to the pre-chorus, same chorus that we did before. And then we get to the solo section. So before I do Matthias's solo, we'll take a look at the rhythm guitar part. Now, live, he plays this differently. So you can choose to do this as well. Live, from what I see, Rudolf just kind of hangs on the E power. But he's running around stage and all that stuff. So you can do it like that. It still works with the solo fine. But on the recording, you can hear some more stuff going on there. So I'm going to cover that. Now you can just, like I said, you can just chug on the low E if you want to do it like he does live. Or you can do it like this, which is closer to the recording. So now I will say that I think he's probably doing chugging on the E on the recording too, because the part I just played right there sounds really buried in the mix. So you got to really listen close to hear it. But I think it sounds really cool and it makes the solo sound even better. So if you're playing this live, I would. Sounds cool. So it works because you're still hitting that low E under it at all times. So we're doing that power chord first at the 7th fret. With all these chords, we keep going back and hitting the low E some. Down move that up 2 frets, so it's 9 on the A, 11 on the D. You can play this here. And then 10 on the A string, 9 on the D. So you get that low E, you can play this here instead. So. Or it's more comfortable up here. And then back to the E power chord. And then at the end of it, end of the first time through the riff, grab the double stop at the 7th fret on the D. He's kind of going to D power chord, but he keeps the E in the bass. So we're going to just grab this part of it, the 7 on the A and the D string. So So all together we have this. Repeat. And then we're out of the solo into the pre-chorus. So listen to the recording really close. Even if you're very familiar with the song, you might not even hear that part too much. But if you really listen close, you'll hear it. And I think it sounds really cool, so I just kind of thought we should bring it out. And I think it works really well with the solo. All right, so now I'm going to play through Matthias' solo, kind of note for note, and then show you guys how to play it. So here we go. All right, so Matthias jabs, just such a great player. So it's kind of got some licks that will really tie your hands in knots. So we've got our work cut out for us here today. So let's start here with this first lick, because this is kind of a common blues lick. So that kind of starts there with that bend at the 14th fret on the G string. And then we have this repeated lick, which you're going to play the 12th fret on the high E string, then pull off 15 to 12 on the B, and then do the whole step bend again to the 14th fret on the G. So that's the lick that we repeat. Sorry. So, all right, so that's just kind of a common lick you've probably played before, so no big deal there. But this next one is a little hairy. It looks like this. So what is going on there? We're going to do some pull-offs here. We're going to pull off from the 17 to 12 on the high E, and then 15 to 12 on the B, and then 14 to 12 on the G. So now he goes to repeat that, but the second time through, he kind of does it like this. He does same thing, but instead of pulling off to that 12, you hear him leave the string. So you hear a G there, but it's actually a little bit of you're hearing the open G as he leaves the string. So like that. So the reason why he's leaving the string, because he comes back up, he goes up there, so we had that. And that's just ending it with that pull off from 17 to 12 again, over to 15 on the B, and then into a bend at the 17. Without the bend, and then back. So we have this. All right, from there we have this. That's that next phrase. So we have a couple of bends at the 14th fret there on the G string again. And then you play 12, and then we have this. So that's a bend at the 15th fret on the B string. It's kind of one of those quick little bend and kill it. And then play the 12th fret there on the B, and then play 15, 14, 12 on the G. All right, and now we have this kind of legato lick. It was a pretty legato lick that goes across the fretboard. This is probably the most challenging lick in the song. It looks like this. All right, so slowed down, that's actually, we just start here with the 12th fret on the high E first. So that's just kind of a note to set it off, right? To lead into what the actual lick is. And then we take the same lick and we do it twice across 2 different string sets. So the lick, so like I said, you start with the 12th fret there, but then you do this. So that's pulling off 15 to 12 on the high E. And then pick 15 on the B, pull off on the B string, and pull off 14, 12, over to 14 on the G. So we have this. Now what we're going to do is start and play that exact same lick, but this time starting on the B string. It still goes across 3 strings, but ending on the D. So what makes that challenging is because it's got different numbers of notes on the fingers. At least for me, it's kind of it's a little bit odd. But since it repeats, you can just kind of practice it in one place first and get it down, kind of program it muscle memory, and then just take it across. All right, so from there we have this. So this is kind of a quick trill 7 to 8, back to 7 on the B. So hammer, pull, then over to 9 on the G. And then we're going to kind of do the same lick again, but on different strings, different fingerings. So we have pick 7 on the G, hammer on 9, pull back off the 7, over to 9 on the D. And then we're going to end it. That's pulling off 8 to 7 on the D string, slide down to 5, then pull off 7 to 5, over to 7 on the 8. All together. Now from there we have this. So just kind of bending at this second fret a few times on the G string. Pull off, release it, pull off to the open, and then just play that second fret there on the D string a couple times. And then we have this muted lick, which looks like this. All right, so this is just kind of a pattern. So we're starting here 7, 5, 7 on the A string, and you get really heavily palm muted here. At least at the first half of this, or the first probably 3/4 of it. So we have this like that, 7, 5, 7, and then 4 on the, so it's a little 3-note lick, and then we start from the next note up in the scale, because you just go, so we're just going to be playing 7, 5, 7, and now the next note up in the scale is that 4 on the D string, and then you do that same lick from that, so you got to go back in the scale 1 to the 7th fret on the A, and then back to that 4. So we have this. So all together. Then the next 3 notes. Then we have 5, 4, 5 on the D, 7, 5, 7 on the D. Then once again we gotta change strings over to 4 on the G, back to that 7 on the D, and then back to that 4. And then we're going to end it with, here where you don't really have to be palm muted, 7, 4, 7 on the G, and then into a bend there on that. All right, from there we have some kind of oblique bends. So that's going to be, what you're going to do is you're going to hold your pinky across the 15th fret of the B and the high E, while also playing the 14th fret there on the G. So what you do is you pick the G and the B string together, and bend that note on the G string up a whole step. So you did that a couple times. So that's an oblique bend. An oblique bend is when one note stays stationary and the other one is bent up. So, and then after the second one, you're gonna hear him hit that double stop. That's why we're holding the pinky across the B and the high E there at the 15th fret, because he goes. And then a couple more bends, and then release and pull off to the 12th fret on the G string. And then we have this final lick that ends the solo. Looks like this. All right, so this is going to be starting with a bend at the 14th fret there on the G, and then play 12 on the B, 12 on the high E, and then into a bend at the 15th fret on the B, back to that 12 on the high E. And then we have this descending lick that's really kind of broken up into threes as well. It looks like this. So that starts here. So think of this as patterns of threes. It's the easiest way to memorize this kind of stuff. So we have 15 to 12 on the B, over to 15 on the G. That's the first set of three. And then we play 12 on the B string, and then 15 pull off to 14 on the G. So that pull off allows you to keep the picking kind of together. So we have this. When you do that downstroke and then pull off, that now allows you to start with an upstroke on this next note, which makes the picking a lot easier. So we have now the next three notes, because they cross strings, it's easier to start with an upstroke there. So we have that 12th fret there on the G, and 14th on the D, back to the 12th on the G. Then we're going to continue going down. So now we play 14, 12 on the D to 14 on the A. So that's the next three. Now here he does a little bit of he plays the 12th fret on the A string with a slight little bend on it. And then play 14, 13, 12. Then play 15, 12 on the low E. From watching the videos, it looks like he grabs that G note here and not here. You can do it like that, but it looks like he goes. So a little slight bend, 14, 13, 12 on the A, then play 15, 12, 10 on the low in the solo. So we have this. All right, so now after the solo, we just have the same pre-chorus riff that we did before, and the same chorus riff just takes the song out. So nothing new to learn there. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a really in-depth breakdown, but there's a lot of stuff going on in this song, but it's really fun to play as soon as you get it down underneath your fingers. And I hope you enjoyed it. All right, I'll see you again soon for guitarlessons365.com.